authorized to conduct business for the United States. Prove that you have your public bond and your superior oath on file for me to accept it and remain in honor. And then I'll consider coming to your courtroom. If not, you must recuse yourself. And guess what? They recuse yourself almost every freaking time. We got a guy that's on his 6th judge.
Wow.
Presumption of summons is that because we give you a summons, you must appear, when actually it is an invitation. Presumption of custody, that means that I can take you into custody anytime I want. Okay? When in reality, the judge can only take possession and have custody of things. The persona. You're all capital legal fiction, and you're just a thing. You're a surety. You're the res, the property of the trust. And he's going to act as executor de sanctor. The presumption of the court of guardians is that they must act as a guardian because you're a pauper and you're incapacitated legal self. You're an idiot. You can't even speak the language. That's why you need representation, because you're so stupid. You don't even know how stupid. And the judge must act as your guardian and be the executor de sanctor of your estate because you don't even know one exists. You're so stupid. This is their presumption. Every court assumes these things. Every single one of them. Every attorney that you've ever hired to represent you in court knows these things. They're taught these things. It's how they conduct the bar guild business. You must rebut them. The presumption of the court of trustees is that members of the private bar guild, they think that you accept their public oath and they're going to be a trustee and protect your property and your persons. When in reality, they see themselves as the executor and you are the trustee and you've broken the trust because you didn't agree to contracts and you didn't abide by the contracts that they offered you. And you're not the beneficiary. The prosecutor's the beneficiary for the state. Unless you rebut that presumption, they're going to act as such. Presumption of government acting in 2 roles. That means that they're presuming that you agree with them acting as the executor and you're the trustee and the prosecution is the beneficiary. If you don't rebut the presumption that you are, the judge is going to assume and presume. It's called syllogism. Presumptions and assumptions. In other words, shit made up. Presumption of executor de sanctor. That is where the judge says, because you're unable to act and conduct your private business affairs, then we're going to take it, drag it into the public, and I'm going to act as executor de sanctor. That means I'm going to administer your property without your consent. Because you're so dumb, you don't even know that you must consent. You're so incapacitated. Okay, the presumption of incompetence is that you are incompetent and that you're at least ignorant to present yourself and argue properly. Therefore, the judge, as the executor, as the trustee, has the right to arrest you, detain you, and fine you into a psychiatric, and also force you into a psychiatric evaluation because you're so stupid. Unless you openly challenge that you're not incompetent, you are compos mentis, which means mentally competent. Compos mentis, mentally competent. See how evil reverses shit? That you are compos mentis. Okay? You must know your position as the executor beneficiary and actively rebut and rebuke and object at every contrary presumption of the court. I object, Your Honor. I am the beneficiary. You are the trustee. That moron over there is responsible. Having hearing no objection, let the fact be recorded for the public record that I am the executor, and Your Honor, you are the trustee here to protect my property, my trust, and all the bonds associated with it. This is my courtroom. No, Your Honor, it's not your courtroom. It's the Bar Guild's courtroom. We're going to play by the rules. I'm the law. No, Your Honor, you're not the law. Maximum of law, no one is above the law, not even you in your private and public capacity. You're not ignorant of the law because you're obviously a competent and honorable judge. Is that true, or am I making a false presumption? You put the son of a bitch on trial. I'm going to lock you up. Under what pretense are you going to put a writ of detainer against my person and hold me, the man, as surety for the trust? Because I'm going to object. Objection overruled. On what grounds, Your Honor? Because I said so. I take exception until further adjudication by an impartial party. See, Your Honor, you can't rule on whether or not your overruling of my objection is lawful or legal. You can't rule on that. It takes a third party to make that decision. So after we've decided by a third party that my objection is either valid or invalid, then we'll reconvene the court. Send me a court date with a different judge. See you later. You have to know how to object and why you're objecting, because every damn thing that comes out of the prosecutor's mouth is hearsay. They weren't there. They didn't see anything that supposedly happened. All right. The presumption of guilt is that you're guilty when you enter the courtroom. And just by showing up in their courtroom, you are guilty. And because you're guilty, the judge is going to use the sheriff and the bailiff to force you to capitulate to his will and get your signature on a bond called pretrial conditional release. And the judge will set the amount that they want to profit off of your vessel before they let you go. And the 13th presumption of the court is that by you claiming to be a living man, a living woman, and the executor of your trust is that you're just simply crazy or you're a sovereign citizen at best. And sovereign citizen, you can't be a sovereign under their feudal system, and a citizen. You can't be both master and slave at the same time. And the judge will railroad you, which means lead you down a narrow path toward a predetermined outcome, which is your ass in the slammer for your signature on a bond paper called pretrial conditional release, so that they can profit from you. They don't care if you ever come back to the courtroom. They're just going to keep cashing that bond over and over and over and over again. That's why they give you continuance upon continuance upon continuance upon continuance upon continuance. That's why we have 2 years later, 800 people that are in prison right now in D.C. because it keeps to every one of their birth certificates has to keep about $80,000 a month. And it costs about $3,000 a month to feed them and provide health care and all that stuff, which they're not doing. How much does it cost to give someone 28 bologna sandwiches and 28 egg and sausage meals? It doesn't even sausage. And then for the evening meal, we're going to give you something that looks like meat and something that looks like vegetables and something that's called chicory, not even tea or coffee. It costs them about $1,200 a month to feed everybody and clothe them and pay for the facility and the guards that watch it. What the hell are they doing with the other $79,000 every single month? Let me see. Control, Shift R, rotate, Control Shift, alternate R. I can't remember how to do a rotation. Rotate. There we go. So this is weekly opening statistics of the liquidity fund, and it's listed out, and you can see how much money you're talking about. 105 million. That's just for 1 week. $145,786,000. Court registry investment asset report for 1 week. 144 million Treasury assets, 1 week, $144 million. Let's just keep scrolling. You'll see the individual case numbers. See all these case numbers right here? These are case numbers. That's the 5th federal district.
That's just Texas.
This is just one courthouse in Texas, the 5th district in Texas. Look here, one court case number, right there, case number. It's been hypothecated in 2006 from 223 to 719 is the life of it. It's now worth $13,000, the investments on that. In interest in 1 week period, it's 1 week time period, is $201. And here it says minors case information. Did you know that the government considers you all because you never claimed your minor estate? Now, under the Baby Act, you're not allowed to engage in contracts because you're a minor. But you're 18 years of age and you can't engage in contracts because you have the right to consent. You see, they can't measure things with two different rulers. They can't say you can have it this way, but you can't have it that way, because if you're a minor, how can you contract? If you're a minor because you never claimed your estate and you're an incapacitated legal idiot, then you don't have a capacity to contract. But you're 18 years old. Well, that doesn't mean you're competent to contract. Read the Baby Act. So how can you engage in a contract, and how can they hold you accountable to a contract called the Motor Vehicle Code or the Tax Code when you're a minor and you're an incapacitated idiot self? How can you agree to a contract when you're so stupid you don't even know what a contract is? It's called presentment. You see how government conflates these things? And you get people that read one sentence and say, oh, you're full of shit. Talking about me or David. Well, you have to think about more than one thing at a time, folks. You have to look at the matrix. Okay? It's like when you're looking at a map. You can't look at the little intersection that you're trying to find if you're 200 miles away. You have to get back a little bit and see how many miles away from it you are, and know which direction you're traveling. Are you going to travel north, south, east, or west? Right here is the intersection, and it's this close to your face, and all you can see is the intersection. You don't know where you're at or how to get there to that piece of the puzzle. After looking at that mind map, it's probably about 20,000 pieces of the puzzle. So someone brings in this puzzle box, and it's a box of Legos, and it's three-dimensional. It goes this way, and this way, up off the table. And it's a starship that you got to make, or a drag racer, or a model of whatever. And they dump this thing out on the table, and it's a lot of pieces, so let's just dump it on the floor. And it's over 1,000 pieces. And I say, put it together. What are you going to ask me for? The directions. You're going to want to see the what? The picture, the box top, right? If you ever put together a puzzle, what's the first thing you do? You get the box top and start looking at it, right? And you start looking for the straight pieces in the corners, and you need them first, right?
Yeah.
Then you get the straight pieces to build the outside edge of it. Then you got to look at the picture and find the pieces and where to start putting the picture together. That's a two-dimensional puzzle, and it takes you hours, sometimes days. And you have a box top to look at, and it's only 2 dimensions. Now imagine a 3-dimensional puzzle with 12,000 pieces, and I'm going to go burn the box top before you ask me for it. Now try and put the puzzle together. Oh, and we're going to take 50 of them pieces and we're going to go hide them somewhere. And they're key pieces that you need. We're going to take all 4 corners and all the straight-edged pieces and we're going to hide them. Now try and put the puzzle together without the box top, without the 4 corners, without the straight-pieced edges.
We got the channel.
Yeah, the channel is your box top. The ASN study guide is your really detailed box top. Comprehend this, the channel is as I discovered it. As I found things, I put them up immediately. There's no particular order other than when I found them. And Lisa and her team took all that stuff that's on the channel, and they organized it. They renamed it from what it was that I downloaded it. And they made it make sense, easy to follow. It's invaluable what she's put together in her team, okay? The interactions that go on, the supporting each other is what really matters. So let's get back to this. This is the court registry investment system. What happens to all that money? This does not have anything to do with when they express your trust without your consent. This is merely the hypothecation of the instruments and the case numbers, not the money that they get on top of it, which is from your Cesta QV trust account. If you're convicted of a felony, that's $2 million in most cases, and they send it to the trust and get paid $2 million. And you do 6 months in jail and they get $2 million, and then they make you pay a $10,000 fine on top of it, so you have to make a payment schedule to pay them $10,000 back over the next 4 or 5 years. But that's just a nuisance. They don't tell you that they collected $2 million from your Cesta Q trust account. That's something that's totally hidden from you. This is just the hypothecation of the case numbers themselves that does not include the Cesta QV trust payments. This is only the investment system on the bonds from the case number. It's all a Ponzi scheme. You asked me the other day, what makes a baby worth $100 million by the time they're 35, 40 years old? And the answer is nothing. Why should a baby, before they're even born, and then they're born, and they can't even hold their head up? Why would someone buy their bonds? Why would you buy a 20-year bond on a baby? Because you're an agent. When you discover you're pregnant, you have to start going to the doctor. You have to start buying baby clothes. What is it, a boy or a girl? Well, you got to buy boy clothes or girl clothes. You got to get a crib. You got to get a bedroom. You got to get a bigger apartment. You got to start stocking up on baby formula and diapers. And you need a stroller and a car seat. You need to take prenatal vitamins. You need to eat better. Now the house has to be warmer. It has to be cooler. Your baby has to be kept comfortable. You engage as an agent for the baby before they're even born. You engage first. And why does it come out to be, by the time they're 18, it's worth about $4 million their half? It's through fraud and a Ponzi scheme. It's all ones and zeros. It's digital fiction. What's the surety that backs up those bonds? Your arms, legs, and all the things you think and dream up and make happen. Because you can't own any of it. It's all the government's. They can take it any time they want. The land where you lay your head is not yours. The real estate built upon the land has a federal lien against it as surety to the bondholders. The financial fraud in this country is astronomical. It is so much that you can't, at this stage in your learning, you cannot wrap your head around it. You cannot wrap your head around the Cesta QV trust or any other fraud that's going on right now. Because you're just now waking up to the fact that you put a signature as an informant on a banking instrument, pledged them as surety, res indentured to a trust called the Public Charitable CQ Trust. And you agreed that they would be the surety for that military script called Federal Reserve Notes. And that you were part of a satanic ritual at the birth of a child under admiralty and common names and words. That's pretty tough for you to grab, ain't it, Mom? That you were duped into becoming part of a satanic ritual of the water. of banking. Have you seen David's explanation of the birth of a child?
Say it.
You don't remember? You haven't seen it?
Say it.
Let me walk you through it. You go into a birthing ward, a foundling center, like you birth a ship. All ship cargo to the dock to wait once the ship arrives at the dock. The tour is the bill of lading. You must pay the taxes on the bill of lading. The ship is female because it delivers the cargo. So you go into a foundling center, a safe place to abandon a child called a birthing ward. You put your legs in the stirrup, exposing all your goods to everybody in the room. Unashamed. And the doctor, your heart breaks. The child is of the water of the womb. And then the child comes through the birth canal, like the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal. And they come into the air, into the hands of the dock. And as soon as the hands of the dock receives the cargo, the tour taxes are now due. And before the child has a chance to take its first breath of God as a creation of nature, they're turned upside down, historically, and they're made to cry out with their first breath of God in pain and fear. And then they take the baby from you and say, we have to go clean them up at some point in time. Take them in the room. And they bring out this really big form that you don't get to see. Sometimes you do. And they stick a needle in the baby's foot. And they take their soul. Print in blood on the back of a banking instrument. And at the top of it, it says the state of, or the commonwealth of. And then they bring you this thing and you flip it over on the back and you apply a signature, surrender nature's laws. On the back of that banking instrument, it's on bond paper. On the front of it, it looks like a car title because it is the title to the vessel. And you inform on the child as an informant and you signature, thereby starting the hypothecation of your product. And the child is pronounced lost at sea because you abandoned the afterbirth and the umbilical cord. Part of them you gave up. You abandoned it. And now your DNA progeny, your son or daughter, is now res property. The corporation is entitled to any residual products of that baby. It's now a thing. Any residual products, res property, and you indentured them. Now they're a res indentured thing. And all of this is hidden from you. You see? The evil. It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at what they do with just the bonds on the case number that they need causes of action by the police agents. They don't care if it's crossing the yellow line, if it's fighting between your neighbors, if it's two drunks, a husband and wife that beat the hell out of each other every weekend. And in the place where we were at last weekend, they have a must arrest. Which means that they can beat the hell out of each other and they can say, I don't want to press charges, because we love each other, we're going to beat the hell out of each other next weekend. But the neighbors call the police and they come and they have to arrest one of them. Why? Police officer standing there and he says, Why are you wasting my time? Now I have to arrest one of you. Because they need one of your names on a cause of action so they can authenticate the case number. There's already case numbers existing. At the beginning of every financial fiscal year, they say we're going to have 900 cases. So let's come up with 900 case numbers and let's start selling preliminary bonds on them. And they start selling preliminary bonds on them. They hypothecate them, which means they monetize the case numbers. Now, by the end of the year, they damn well better have someone's vessel name on that case number because they need surety for that bond. If they don't, then the one that took out the bond has to pay the fees. And they ain't doing that. So you go out there and you arrest somebody and give me a damn name on this case number. It's called a ticket quota.
They deny it.
And they're full of shit.
They are.
I'm going to show you right here what the case numbers are, what the hypothecation begins before your name's ever put on it.
It's a horrible.
We had a police officer last weekend seminar, and he was telling us all about the stuff. He said, you know, the parents' patre part, where the government has to take care of you because you're incapacitated, they got to act as your parents because you're so stupid and you're a pauper. He knew what it was, but the district attorney or the attorney that was teaching him when he went to the academy, the police academy, says, oh, you don't need to worry about that. And then just skipped right over it. Because they don't want to disclose to the policy agents the fraud of what they're doing to you. You don't need to worry about that. Just follow the code. They need your name on that case number. They don't care if you two are going to do the same thing next weekend. That's good because we'll get your names again and put them on another case number. Why do you think they're letting these criminals out of jail? No bond. Just letting them run loose. Because all they need is a name associated with a case number that they've already hypothecated. And they know if you let them back out on the street, there's a high probability that they're going to do something stupid and get arrested again. That same vessel name on another cause of action, which is a case number that's already been hypothecated.
Can I just say something really quickly? Think about the states where that's happening the most often and how bankrupted those states are. Why do they do that?
The most bankrupted
California.
states in our country are doing that stupid shit because they need the money from the bonds. They need causes of action. They need names from the causes of action to go on the case numbers that they've already sold the bonds for.
Well, and they're committing more crimes.
Yeah.
They're letting all these people out in California.
And
They're following people's stories, especially people in Beverly Hills.
That's what I'm saying. They keep letting them out so they can create more causes of action. Why should they hold them in court? Because if they hold them in custody, they can't go out and create another cause of action. Does it start to make sense now, folks?
yeah, the Matrix is a documentary.
Get that right.
If they're illegal immigrants, they still have a birth certificate. 209 countries have birth certificates.
I don't care about a border.
That's why they don't care about it. Let them come across the border because we need the birth certificates to get to that money. It's all about money and fraud. So let's see how much it is in one courtroom, one courthouse from 2006 in 1 week. Let's scroll to the bottom of this page. Look at these case numbers. $25,000 for one case number. It started in 1997, and in 2006, it was still running. And in 1 week, 25,000 ending balance, principal is 14. In 1 week, the total interest, well, not 1 week, the total interest, just interest. Insane. Look at the interest on this, $14,000 from 98 to 2006. Here's one from 97 to 2006. You got them from 2000 to 2006. So these cases, you can go and look those case numbers up and find out who the people were that were associated with. You can look them up right now on Pacer. And you can go and do some digging and you can find them being traded on the stock exchange, on the bond markets.
Slaves.
Right now, A case number never goes away. It's hypothecated continuously. That's why you want to do a change of address, so that those checks start coming to you instead of them. I'm going to talk about this particular court case, but in all the other non-court actions, like every application you ever filled out at any institution, every doctor's office you've ever been to and filled out an authorization to pay or an agreement or anything like that there, the birth, where you were born, the hospital you were born in, the DMV, your motor vehicle license, your MCOs, if you ever have, they all have bonds associated with them. You do a change of address for the post office that delivers to that location, and then those checks start coming to you. They're sent out all the time. But I might lose my Social Security. You got more freaking money than you know what to do with. You just have to learn how to go get it. Okay? So let's look at this one court, one district. Oh, the fraud of it. Let's go one way to the end goodies. Boom. I gotta rotate it. Okay, one more time. Now look at this, Court Registry Investment System. This is the end of it. This is posted on the Telegram channel. CRIS, Court Registry Investment System. All right, Cindy, we about ready?
Finish this one up and then we're good.
Okay, so
We
Court
got about
Registry
5 minutes.
Investment System. This is the liquidity pool, okay? And this is for 1 week, from 7/27 to 8/2 in 2006. The number of cases for this district is 2,551. The principal beginning balance was $2.3 billion. Transferred in, they made 791,000 transferred in. Transferred out was 10 million.
To who?
For the ending balance of $2.3 billion.
Who's getting that money?
Here's the earnings. I'm going to tell you, here's the earnings. Beginning balance on the earnings, the allocations, and the transferred out was 54,000. The ending earnings balance was $1.9 million. For 1 week. The balance was $2.426 billion. In the current registry fee, who gets the registry fee? The employees at the courthouse, the judge, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the public defender. It's called net retainages. For a week, $135,000 was the current registry fee that was paid out for 1 week. Now, let's go down here. Now, this is for one courtroom. 959 cases. The ending balance is $499 million, $500 million. The registry fee that was paid out to the court actors was $41. This was in 2006. It's 10 times worse now. And this is Texas. You should see the ones from California that I'm hearing about. You should see the ones from New York. Holy shit. Government has enough money to fund itself for 500 years without charging you a dime, 1 red cent for anything they do. We should have the best roads. They should be paved with silver and emeralds. As much money as they have in these court investment systems and as much money as they've stolen from us in the SSTQ trusts, and that's on top of the CAFR accounts. So you got the court registry investment system, you got the SSTQ trust accounts, the expression of that with your consent, and you got the CAFR accounts, the certified annual financial reports, off budget accounts. That's just 3. And there were about 20. So I'm talking to the politicians, some of them in Pennsylvania, about restoring the land patents. And one of them asked me, he says, well, if we just restore the land patents, then we've got to come up with a way to fund the schools. If we we don't, because right now your school taxes are based on your land. And we've got a bill for that. I said, you got a bill to do more stupid shit, that's what you got. I said, keep in mind, I'm restoring my land patent because it ain't up to you.
Right.
Whether or not I restore my land patent. I'm really giving you the opportunity to do what's right by the people and set the tone for the nation. Talking to the lawmakers. Doug Mastriano says, let's get it done. And Doug can do it in executive order because our land patents were stolen by an executive order of a president of a corporation. And Doug's the executive, the governor of the Pennsylvania Corporation called the state of Pennsylvania, doing business as the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And he's the head, and he's in charge of it when he gets sworn into office. And if they stole our land patents by an executive order in our ignorance, acquiescing, then guess what? He can restore them with an executive order and then command his employees to teach the people about what he just did for them. He can do all that with an executive order. He doesn't need any consent from the legislature whatsoever.
Every state can do that?
What's that?
Can every state do that?
Every state can do that. Every one of you can restore your land patent. It's not up to the governor, the legislature, it's not up to the court systems. The land patents existed before there ever was a country. You see, if land is a gift from God, how can man tax it and throw someone off their land? The chiefest thing first is the strongest in law. So, just look at that. That's from 2006, and it's 10 times worse than that. And that's being conservative. So I shared with him, I said, do you know about the CAFR accounts? And he says, oh yeah, we had a budget shortfall of a couple $100 million, of several $1 million. It was like 20 or $30 million shortfall. And oh my God, we got to raise taxes. No, you don't. Just go to the CAFR account. So they went to the CAFR account and filled a $200 million budget gap. And they didn't even put a dent in the CAFR accounts. I said, now wait until you find out about the court registry investment system and the QV trust funds that have been raided by the court systems and the net retainages that are being paid to the judges, the prosecutors, and the public defenders that you don't know about. He said, what? I said, yeah, you got enough money to run the state of Pennsylvania for 500 years and don't even have to collect any more taxes whatsoever, none. Is this real? Sure, you want me to show you? Or we're gonna have a meeting with a bunch of lawmakers. Yes, we are. How many can you get in the room? How fast can you make it happen? Well, we gotta get elected first. And then the second day after you're re-sworn in, you're gonna call me on the telephone. We're gonna have a game plan laid out for when we're going to start teaching the Pennsylvania Republic and how you can fund it beyond your wildest imagination by merely taking back what was stolen from the people through the court systems, CAFR funds, and expression of the people's trust accounts without their consent. I said, did you know that the driver's license in Pennsylvania all have a minimum of $10,000 bond values associated with them? That's the net payouts is $10,000. The bond values are way more than that. How do you know this? I said, call up the director of transportation and find out. They'll tell you all about it.
Didn't Obamacare do this for the medical industry too?
No, that's a whole other shit show. We're not even getting into that. We don't have another week to go over Obamacare. All right, yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up. Listen, it's about 12:30. We're gonna take an hour for lunch and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna hammer you. Write this down. I'm gonna hammer you on how to stand on the water, how to stand up the republic, using our founding parchments, and if we have time, I'm going to teach you about banking and how you hold them accountable by sending them invoices for trespass. You see, citizen slaves have to sue them in a court and ask permission from a bar order. But people send bills to their public employees for trespass. I'm going to show you how you function as a people to hold them accountable. In the banking world, everything is banking. Those three things are the big nuts that we gotta get swallowed. Okay? We're all a bunch of squirrels. Even a blind squirrel finds it. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Nice backtrack.
Y'all gotta get your head out of the gutter and then back right in. Somebody back there's Andre, I'm not sure which one it is. I got a sneaking suspicion though. All right, let's have some lunch.
I need Johnny
off mute.
Crossing from the people trying to get triple roll like I want to here.
I need to move this. I don't want this anymore.
Well, I'm not doing that.
Okay, I'm just gonna put on things. All right, I'm gonna. Are you?
Okay,
Today too, so that's good. All right, we gotta get through the home stretch. Hopefully this connection is better. Let's see. Note to self.
Tell her thank you.
I will.
What do you think? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's all right. Now they're gonna work up. You guys will be here.
My oldest daughter. Oh, you want perception?
She thinks it's right in. It's right. And the 26-year-old wrong. I'm gonna get something on this board. One person off. 24. Any students on Texas or Mountain West. Other twin is up to
5 minutes, still got some people going back in. 5 minutes.
I mean, well. What's that? Exactly. Of the board.